Hello, everybody. Welcome back. We're going to get started here in just a few moments. Thank you, guys. Thanks, everybody, for joining. I'm seeing more and more people pop in. Thank you. And we'll get started here in just a few moments. We got more people joining. Thank you guys all for coming through. Welcome. Today's Monday, June 3rd, if I got my days right. What's over here? Cool. So, everybody, welcome. Yeah, we got some questions in the chat already. If you've got some more, Um, feel free to put them in there. We'll take them first come, first serve. So Brian's got one in. Appreciate that. We'll start looking at it right now. We'll give it about another, I don't know, 60 seconds or so, maybe 90 seconds, then we'll get started. And I'm seeing a few folks in here that are new or at least names I haven't seen before. So just for the folks that are new, my name is Robert. We have a series of trainers that work throughout the week. But if you have any questions, feel free to either put them in the Q&A or in the chat, and we'll kind of just talk about stuff, as the order in which they're received. So if you have a question or you're just curious about something, or even if you're just here, hey, I'm just sitting and listening, that's fine as well. But feel free to put a question in the chat for the new folk who have not been in before. We'll get started here in just a few moments. All right, so like I said, we're going to get started here right about now. And I do have one of those questions, Brian, is a little elusive. I'm trying to figure out, I'm like doing some research on our side about maybe why that might be happening for you, but I'm just kind of doing a little bit of intel. Is it, and that's true. I can unmute you as well. Uh, So your date, when it gets presented in decision, it's a date. Is it consistently a day behind every time, like 24 hours, or is it like just always wrong kind of thing?
I don't know about if it's consistently a day behind,
Okay,
but I've seen it enough. Like it's not, I don't think it's all of them, but some of them are.
interesting. Okay, let's see here if I can do a little bit of research on that while we're kind of talking. Uh, all right, but you said it's not consistent, so sometimes the date is correct,
I
Brian.
believe so.
Okay,
And this data is coming in from SQL.
right.
So like I'm pretty sure it's like some sort of time change issue.
Oh, that's insightful. Yeah. Um. I hate immediately going to this, but just, we can't really look at your data. We're about to post this to YouTube. That whole spiel you've probably heard 100 times.
Hmm.
Um, but it might be worth one of those things. And again, apologies for just immediately going to it, but having someone from support actually look at it on your end and figure out where that disconnect is. Just
Okay.
because from me, like I am kind of going through our documentation, like we have an internal kind of troubleshooting documentation and seeing if I can find any other customers that have had that issue.
Hmm.
And usually we put the solutions in there.
Hmm.
But I am not seeing anything about that
Okay.
particular when it comes to the time changes.
What version are you on, Brian?
Um, I'm not sure.
Um,
So if you click indecisions, if you click, I can show you. I can pull
Hmm.
up a.
Just go to settings or something.
Yeah, I'll show it to you. You can click on the top right. It'll give you an icon. I just got to figure out which of these is on version. Sorry, I've got too many versions on my own computer here. Up here on the top right, you'll get kind of a. I do have one loaded up, but it's my 9. But if you go up here, you'll have a symbol that looks like this. Again, your
Hmm.
UI is going to look a little different because I'm in version 9. But if you go to About, it'll tell you what
Mm.
version you're on right here.
I'm on 8.121.
8.121.
can you go into the release notes page on our doc site and look for bugs that were fixed in 8.1? Change the version thing to the left. See where it says version 8, and it
Hmm.
should be release notes.
Thank you.
Yeah, and then go to version 8, and let's just look to see if you said 8.1, Brian. Is that correct?
Let me double check again. 8.12.
8.12. Okay, so let's go to 8.1x all the way at the bottom. Oh, 8.12. Is that what
Yes,
you're saying?
yes. Hmm.
My
Hmm.
bad. Go to 8.12. My brain just heard that wrong. Let's see. All right. So let's go to scroll up. Let's see. Breaking changes. Known issue. And prefix. Sequence IDs. Encryption warning logs. New test. So those are breaking changes. Okay. So that's not what we're looking for. Scroll down. See if there's any. On the right, Robert, could you go to like, are you doing a database integration, right, Brian? Like you're taking data from an integration?
I'm like reading it, so I don't know if that's necessarily an integration. I think it is actually.
Yeah, okay, so we can go to integrations. Let's see, a post redshift. That's okay, so that's nothing there. Infrastructure. This and you said this is also on reports too, right? Or you're using it as
Yes.
a dashboard to filter. So go to dashboards and reports, Robert. Scroll. I think you're already there. Scroll up a little bit. Report designer. Diagram to fix. Nope, that's not it. Scroll up to reports.
Damn, my brain is not reading. We're on reports.
Yeah, you have to scroll a little bit up. Yeah,
Okay.
it's close
Okay.
enough. So,
Yeah.
default view reports seem to be fully loaded. Setting report ID. Okay, so that's none of that stuff. Okay, so yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure what that issue is. Two things I would check. This does sound like something I think you would need to get a support person on the call with you and just share screen.
Okay.
If there's any time between before you get on a call with a support person, the first thing that I would check is just double check the filter, and maybe like, do you have access to the global debugger?
I do, but I honestly don't really know how to use it.
Perfect. So, Robert, if we can just show him how to use it, because anytime you're dealing with dashboards where like the dashboard's not filtering correctly or something of that, happening, it's very helpful to utilize the um, a global debugger. So how we use it. So let's say, just go to a dashboard, Robert. I'll walk you through it. Just go to like any dashboard. Perfect. So we got this dashboard here, and you'll notice that when it loads, that there's a lot of different things. Go to a different dashboard. Like go
Yeah.
to the loan applications where it's got like some data in it,
Yeah.
and then types of loan and automotive. Sure. So anytime you have data like this, where it's like it loads like a pie chart or things like that, and you want to see what happens, or one that runs a filter, what you will do is you would open the global debugger on the left, show global debugger, right? And what that does is just opens up a new tab and allows you
Hmm.
to run this global debugger. Now, it's important to note, as the highlight that Robert has wonderfully highlighted, is you don't want to leave this on. So typically what
Mm.
we'll do is we will go ahead and turn it on right now, Robert, and then go back to your dashboard and then do whatever action, like go ahead and just refresh this page, this dashboard. And so now go back to the global debugger. So we initiate the action and then go ahead and then turn off the global
Mhm.
debugger. So obviously there's no flow. We didn't have any flows on that dashboard that ran. So that's why we don't see any flows. But whenever you're doing like get page variables or set page variables or set parameters on dashboards for filtering like you're doing, when you
Mhm.
load that page, you will see that come up in the background. And then you can
Got
left
it.
click into that flow and say, oh, hey, the reason why it's a day behind is because my inputs are wrong, right? And that's typically like if there's something like that happening, that's what
Mm.
it is. But that will give you the insight to test that out. And notice what Robert did there that was so important is every time once that flow, like you get that flow captured, make sure you turn off the flow global flow debugger. So right, he turns it off, and you can still drill down into that inputs outputs. Go back to the global debugger for a second, Robert. And so he can still now for the get my assignment count, he can still look at the output data and see what happens, right? In this case, this flow
Mm-hmm.
has got no data. But you always want to make sure that you turn it off after you get the flow because it will like in your dev environment or prod environment, it will slow it down tremendously. So just,
Got it.
you know, turn it on, do your action, turn it off, and then troubleshoot the flow. But that's typically where dashboard issues like the one you're experiencing reside. It's like an input mapping issue on some page flow that's running, and you just have to utilize that for it to capture.
Got it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, and you can kind of stack, as you can kind of see, like as I go through here, I just ran a random flow, but it is the debug. I mean, I know that aptly named, but it is the debugger across your kind of global instance.
Mm-hmm.
So if I go over here and I just run a random flow from here, it still kind of gives me some of that debug insight of all the things I'm doing. Um, but it is useful, especially if you're um, it is global debugger is useful, but you just always do have to remember to turn this off. Otherwise,
Mm-hmm.
it's just logging and logging and logging and logging information, and it's uh, not good for anybody.
Got it.
Okay, so the second question you had, and thanks for the questions, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
We had a question. You were saying filtering a page filter by clicking on a row from a report. Um, Can you give me some insight about what you want your end
Mm-hmm.
goal to look like? Because there might be something we can build out that's similar functionality. I'm not sure if there's a way to just, well, what do you want to filter? Yeah, let's just start there.
Yes. Mm-hmm. So we'll have basically two different tabs on a page. It's like one page will have like this report of um it's like a report of all the reports that have been created. And when a user like it's like a report history, and when a user clicks on like that row of data, it'll open our report tab and like have everything in that page be updated to uh the like things that the user like the parameters that are associated with the report that the user clicked on. Because right now the way I'm doing with our report is because when a user creates a new page or when a user creates a new report, that report page, I'm filtering it by all of the new I'm just reporting it by like fetching like the latest parameters that were created. But what this doesn't do is it when a user clicks on an older report, how to display that data,
Okay.
if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's starting to make sense. I'm just trying to connect the dots on what maybe the path of least resistance here. So you said you have a tab, is it in a tab container? How do you have multiple reports? Or just I know you said you had a parent report that shows all of your
Mm-hmm.
other reports.
So we basically have different pages. Like they're all different
Okay.
pages.
They're all different pages.
Does that make sense?
It does. Yeah, yeah. All the
Yeah.
reports are on their own, like this kind of thing,
Mm-hmm.
where you have uh like just a report that says, you know, uh purchases, a report that says requests, a report that says all that, and then you have one report that parses all of your reports.
Yes.
Okay. And you want to be able to click in on one of those head subgroupings, and then it loads the new report, the child of that
Yes.
parent.
Yes.
Okay. So you would want the report titles to be like a link to the actual report itself in some capacity. I mean, I'm thinking of different ways to build it out here. You could run something, and maybe if this doesn't fit your use case, that's totally fine too. But you could run something like a what would it be like this, where you have a, let's see if I can find the correct one here. Like a parent-child report where you go through and you click them and it shows two reports. That's, this isn't full functionality, but I am just clicking on the name of the report and then using um, man,
Kind of, it'll kind of be like that, but it's on a different page.
right. So you want to,
And also we have a download button, and the download button right now I'm also using like the fetch, like um, the latest created batch, I guess, or latest created report.
okay.
So I guess what I'm asking is like, is there a way to like input like a filter into a page?
Turn to a page.
When I joined one of these earlier, like when we are first creating it, because we wanted,
Hmm.
because that page, the create report form is on the report history page. We did have like a when the user is clicking it, we were using like the end form session and filtering it by the URL.
Hmm.
But that doesn't fix two of the issues that we're running into, which is the download button, and the other button is we have like a list filter, and I
Right.
also joined one of these like a while ago or like
Yeah.
last week to address that. But we're addressing the list also through the fetching the latest report that was created. So like that's how I'm addressing that list filter. But I was wondering if there's a way that we can, if there's like a page like um like input, I guess, to like be filtering the page by. So that for both of those fetch, maybe we can have like, oh, the created by date equals whatever the date that the person clicked on for the report. So that can filter the entire page.
Yeah,
I don't know if that makes sense. Yeah.
I think I understand what you're saying. Yeah, you can use a step called set page variable.
Okay.
That's this. If there's a specific property that when the user clicks on, you want to put that on there, you can just open up any flow and just show the step. Um, and that will allow you to set any type of a filter. There's also the set dashboards parameter as well.
Okay.
And those are the two steps that I would see that you'd use. Due to like yeah, I think yeah, so just set page variable. You just have to you could there you go.
So it's
Set page
dashboard
variable.
management. Yeah.
And I think you could set up multiple variables if I'm not mistaken. Could you just out all the way to the right and add a couple? So yeah, just name it whatever. Test. And then you can add another one. Yeah, you can have multiple variables. So I'm not sure what data you want to put there, but yeah, you can put it up there. It'll be URL encoded, and then you can
Hmm.
just specify um, you know, the dashboard you want it on. So basically, how this runs, you'll notice there's no really folder ID here because we're in
Hmm.
like a normal flow behavior. But when you create like a flow run part on a dashboard or like a form tile that has an active form flow on it, you can have those flows will be page context aware, and then that set page variable step will just work because it knows of the page it's kind of on. So
Got it.
that's why it
Okay.
has no ID on it.
Okay. I'll try that out. And I just have to use that, say page set page variable. That's
Hmm.
it.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Yeah, and
on
that's
the dashboard
under dashboard management.
management. Okay. Sounds good. Okay, I'll try that out. Thank you.
Yeah.
And you can also some of this like refresh folder stuff. I mean, I would just advise if you are playing in this space and you have multiple users using your decisions application, utilizing this send folder events for a user is going to be more advantageous than send folder event because this is going to
Okay.
change it for all users and this is changing it for just the current user because you might not want one person making a change or sending or refreshing a report and
Got
then
it.
it
Okay.
changes for everybody. That's just something to be kind of in line on.
Got it. So send, you said send report for user.
I just would recommend, yeah, if you're playing around in these spaces, any of these folder and key events, any of this stuff, I would
Got it.
utilize the ones that are for the user because otherwise it's changing it for everyone who's viewing. So if you have five people, working off a report as a queue, if
Hmm.
one person sends a change, it refreshes for everyone.
Sounds good. And so for that user action, would it be like, it fetches like the parameters or whatever of that thing, and then a set page variable, and it would also be a send refresh report for user, and then an end form session, open URL.
At that point, if you're navigating a user to another part of the decisions dashboard, you don't need to refresh the page because once they load to the other one, it will get the updated
Got it.
information.
Okay, sounds good.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you. All right, so we did get another one, and for the other folks that are in here, if you are new, but I think everyone in here is at this point is somewhat regular, feel free to put something in the chat if you got a question. But we're moving on. We'll talk to Brent. He says, possible to create a dashboard that can allow a manager to approve or deny user form submissions, currently using simple data structures. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So I'll probably start by I'll unmute you in case you want to kind of fill in any of the gaps. Um, if you have anything, but that seems kind of straightforward. But feel free. I'll go ahead and give you a moment to say what you're
Yeah,
trying to
I
do.
just want to see like the process. Just a little kickstart, you know?
Yeah, yeah, of course,
Get me
man.
going.
Yeah, of course. Um, and I can build something out and send it to you too, because sometimes it's nice to kind of have a model. You can do it relatively quick. We've got a handful of these, and I don't mind building one with you too, because we've got some time. But I'll show you kind of some of these processes. So we've got a number of these like training sprints that involve initially a form that will end up going through and requiring some type of manager approval.
Hmm.
So if you wanted this information for the manager to approve or deny user form submissions, you could you can utilize maybe case entities and using that simple data structure as kind of a child of that case entity, because we do also have a project that allows users to populate a report that has information, and then they can right click. I'll show you in this application here. Um, and I'm not signed as an HR user, but you could imagine that if I was, I could right click on these and it would give me the option to approve or deny a submission or view the submission. Um, is this something close to what you would want?
That
Like a
would be perfect.
Yeah, so I do believe this is built around this. Um, I do believe this is built around this configuration folder. Um, so let's take a look at some of how that might be constructed. You said you're already using a simple data structure.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, yeah, so we built this around this I9 configuration. We have it set up currently as a entity configuration.
Hmm.
But what you could do is when creating this I9 configuration, or even a case entity. I mean, really, you're going to want, let's just go with one of these here. Oh, actually, let me try one more.
So to use that feature, I would have to use either case entity or um
That is a good question, Jared. There's for a simple data structure, we're not going to be able to do user actions, custom user actions.
You can go to the understanding differences between dashboards document and display that matrix on the screen. That'll
Yeah.
give you the answer.
Boom. All right.
And so anything that has the check mark or text can, on the configuration folder section right here,
Hmm.
you just have to read which one that is. Where is it? Where's my annotation? Yep. So you said you created a database structure.
No, this is simple data structure. Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's what we call the database structure.
Mhm.
So this one. So not by default. So you can have one. So that if you see text or check marks, that means it can.
So then
Mhm.
let's walk through and kind of build out would that be through right clicking your data structure and allowing actions?
Yep. If you have the simple data, yeah, you have to create a database structure.
Okay, let's do
You
that.
just and then you just click the checkbox, enable actions, and then you're good.
Yeah, so in your database structure, and you can edit the one that you already have.
Mhm.
Just putting some random stuff here. Kind of thing, just to add this. Uh, this. Okay. Under advanced on this right side, you should be able to, what am I missing here? So how would we add those, Jared, how would we add those custom actions to the simple structure if it's not enable actions in the,
Well, you have to click on the actual data, the data structure properties.
yep, thank you. Yeah, so you click on the data structure properties up here at the top, and then
Hmm.
you'll have this enable actions,
Hmm.
and that will give you the ability to kind of parse up some of those actions off of your report. So let's take a look and kind of build some of this stuff. And I'm on a, because my local installed version is version 9, so we're kind of working kind of slow here. Oh, perfect. Yeah, so once you kind of create that and enable actions, it'll give you this configuration folder, and then within this space, you can create user actions. So like here's a user action.
Hmm.
We'll say, what was your approve or deny kind of thing. Um, and you can pick a flow that will, like have a form in there that will allow them to approve or deny it. We can just create a random flow. And we can say, okay, approve or deny, and we can put a form on here that will give us the ability to approve or deny based on, kind of buttons. Let's do this as quick as possible. And you can have, this information populated, via PDF. You can have it populate, you can like with a document viewer. If your previous step creates a document and you just want the manager or whoever to look at a document, or you can have it populated with data
Hmm.
by mapping it in. But again, I'll probably send you something that's got a little bit more of a robust build just because it would take quite a bit of time to run this infrastructure, but you could go approve and deny and have it update the records. And we do that quite a bit throughout our training sprints. Did you have a chance to do any of those by any chance?
Um,
It's okay if
I
you didn't.
I don't think I have not.
Okay, yeah, no problem. So, just to show you kind of like some of these structures, and this is maybe a little bit more, definitely more robust than what you would need, but I'll just kind of show you some of these things as well, just so you can kind of see how these end up working. So we have one of these training sprints that's built on a loan application and getting approved, and there's multiple levels of approval that need to be done. Like a loan officer needs to approve it, then it goes to an underwriter, and they need to approve it, and the guys go back to the borrower, and then they sign it, and it's all kind of referencing the same document. So again, I don't know if you're doing a document or if it's just like data input approval or something like that, but in all of these trigger flows, we basically, oh, of course, I clicked the only one that's non-approval. Um, we end up, retrieving the information from the loan application, and we retrieve the folder ID in which we're dealing with of the record. Some of this stuff doesn't matter to you right now. This is just for dating and converting a text for times. But basically, what ends up happening is we go through and we load up. So you could use this as a reference for your flow for your user action. You can load information. So I can like load a PDF, load some data in some capacity. You can fetch entities if you're getting the entity that way, which is done right here. You can input that data into your form and then have a approve and reject path because of your two buttons.
Mhm.
approve and reject, and then just on one of your paths, move that or rename, approve, deny, however you want to save that information, where it was, what the outcome was. Like, where do you want to store the manager's approval or denial? But I can send you some stuff here in a little bit. Um, another useful thing. I guess we're kind of bouncing around a bit, but just because I've got a little bit of time. But in decisions, you also have a default structure for comments. So if you wanted to, you can utilize that. So as an example with loan officer review right here, they are given the option to add a comment, and it just writes it to this comment service. And you can utilize that. So if, on your manager page, you can have a prompt or um, a text box for comments, and then write that data to the comment table so that if it goes back to the initial user or goes to someone further than the manager, there's comments associated with it that that can then be fetched. Um, but hopefully does that bring you some information? If not, you can kind of give me some direction and I can drive another way.
Um, I think I have it.
Okay.
I think I should be good.
Yeah, and I'll build out something small with a quick manager approval and a dashboard for you. It shouldn't take me too long, just so you can see kind of a real base bone skeleton of it.
Okay.
Um, but yeah,
Yeah,
that's going to be. Go ahead.
it's nothing too like it's nothing too complex.
Yeah,
It's just one person that has to
approve
approve
it.
my securities.
Yeah, let me look at this one. I think this might be our simplest flow. Either that or I don't even think we have purchase on here.
I mean, the one objective I have is just not to have the flow to be paused. So I don't want to keep flowing without like so if they don't deny or approve it, I still want the flow to run full, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that sounds great. So yeah, then and using with that information in mind, I would definitely utilize that um, user action. Because
Hmm.
if you like, let's say hypothetically I had a form here and then I put a manager form right here.
Yeah.
When this submits, when it goes to the manager, it is paused until they approve or deny it. Whereas if you leave it in kind of that open limbo state and then use that user action to approve or deny it, it won't
Hmm.
really freeze anything except for that one flow that does that one thing. But your like main process and your main application can run as you want it to. So I would definitely recommend going through on
So
your data structure, adding actions, and then in the configuration folder, adding a user action.
so I should leave that approve and deny flow out of the schedule job. So
Yes,
you're saying okay.
yes, because if it's in the scheduled job, it will pause on that until maybe I'm mishearing it, and Jared can correct me, but it'll pause if you have an assignment, it will pause until that assignment is completed. So here's an
Hmm.
even simpler manager approval. This is one of our more simple ones, but basically we have a form that goes in, but again, this does pause that process until a manager logs in. But it goes in, and then we use these set up process folders to store the information. We're then setting the state to like needs approval or something in progress. And then it goes through and it only goes to the manager for certain reasons, but once it goes to right before it goes to the manager, it says awaiting manager review, and then this information sends it off and we can either approve or deny the request using this set state.
Yeah.
So that's about as simple. I mean, some of the stuff you can just imagine isn't even here.
Yeah.
And just pretend that's not there. Um, but hopefully, like I said, I'll be able to build something out for you.
Yeah, that'll be perfect. I
Yeah, no problem.
appreciate it.
Yeah, okay. Thank you. So I think you're the last one in here. So, is there any other questions you have for me, Brent? Anything else? I mean, I'm open to talk, or if you want to close it out, I can start building and send it to you here in the next 20 minutes or so.
No, I think I'm good.
All right, man. Thank you very much. All right,
Thank
well,
you.
everybody, thank you guys all for joining. Thank you, Jared. Thank you, Brent. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow with Jeremy. Thank you.